Let's get this sports podcast party started, all right?
The J Reels Podcast.
Why don't you wait until July 1st to make an announcement? What a disgrace. He can rack up all these numbers in October, November, and December, but what really counts is let me see this in January.
The sports rebel without a pause, delivering fast-paced, jam-packed sports talk like no other.
Listen, I gotta call it as I see it. He is not a good player. I'm sick and tired of having to deal with the disappointment of this franchise. When does it stop? And yes, another winter that I can sleep in peace. Coming correct, direct, and in full effect. Let's get it.
This is the J Reels Podcast. Welcome aboard.
What is happening, my good people? Greetings. How are you? How's it going? How's everybody doing out there? What is the latest and greatest? Hope everybody's doing well, feeling fantastic, in excellent spirits. The sun may be setting on another month as February is coming to a close, but rising above and bringing the latest podcast to you, talking about everything that's happening in the world of sports, is none other than yours truly, as this is the J Reels Podcast with Joe J Reels. For my first timers, welcome aboard. And for those who've been banging with me going back to the very beginning, somewhere in the middle, or even as early as this past Monday, I welcome you guys and gals back. And as we get set to close out on this month, and with March 1st, just this very close to coming this Sunday. Think about it. 28 days in February. You don't have to worry about having to wait till a 29th, 30th, or 31st day. March is Sunday. And with that being said, I'd be remiss if I didn't extend an invite to all of you here on YouTube. And of course, you could definitely check me out 1 o'clock on March 1st, Sunday. Maybe it's a day where you're just at home, laying around, lounging around, not doing anything, where you could be a part of the discussion, be a part of the celebration, as the podcast will turn 8 on that day. That's right. 8 years of the J Reels Podcast. It will be a celebration. Still looking to maybe have a guest hop on board. That will have to wait to see. I'm still trying to figure out, not really figure out because I have figured it out, but I'm trying to find out who will join me to be a part of this celebration. And again, without you guys and gals, of course, the podcast would just be that. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate all that you've done here over the course of the 8 years, whether you're my day ones or if today's your first day. But we'll get into more of that then. But on YouTube, Sunday, March 1st, 1 p.m. Eastern time, you definitely want to check that out. So please hop on board then. But as far as what's happening in the sports world, it's interesting because you have a lot of little things. There's always something, whether it's in the news cycle, whether it's happening on the ice, diamond, as you have the Major League Baseball exhibition season, or the hardwood with college and NBA. And that's where I'm going to start, because am I really going to get to the NFL Combine or talk about some of these guys that may be released or let go, and we're now less than 2 weeks away from the new season, quote unquote, beginning with the NFL. And I get it that the NFL wants to put a stranglehold on the sports world, but I'm not going to start with that. And yeah, baseball, there's a couple of things I want to discuss, but I'm not going to lead in with that. And I understand basketball may not be for everybody, but for someone who loves sports like I do, you know, I'm going to be all over it. And that's where I'm going to start, because with the NBA, you have one story that's unfolding where you have to wonder, if you're a Cleveland Cavalier fan, when you think about the trade that was made earlier this month for James Harden. And I understand Harden has been a whipping boy of mine over the years, and I'm not here to chronicle that, but I do want to unpack his impact and what he's done so far. And Cleveland's played well, and I know they lost to Milwaukee last night, but you have to wonder whether or not that this recent injury of his, this broken thumb, which you say he's going to play through it, didn't play in the game last night, but now you have to wonder whether or not that the Eastern Conference, what you thought at first could be between 4 teams, is it now going to be between 3? Those 3 being the Pistons, Celtics, and the Knicks. Now, we threw in the Cavs there only because Harden is an upgrade over Darius Garland, who has been hurt, who is a good player in his own right, but even at 36 years of age, 37 or going on 37 for James Harden, you'd be a fool not to take Harden, despite the fact that he has many years on Garland, but knowing that he's going to be a much more productive player than Garland, who got shipped to LA in that trade for the beard, as they call him. But when we take a look at how the Cavaliers and what their trajectories could be from here on out, you wonder whether or not this thumb is going to be an issue. Now, we already know between the ears and even more so in his chest, when the money's on the line, James Harden is usually invisible. But as far as him playing and being healthy, he's usually in the lineup. And you would think that with the recent move and him playing very well, now his numbers have paled in comparison to what he was with LA. I believe he's averaging, 18-7, where he was averaging over 25 points when he was with the Clippers. And I understand maybe not much is asked of him. And I understand he had Kawhi Leonard when he was in LA, and here he has Donovan Mitchell. But I would think Cleveland, although I didn't think they were going to be a big threat, and I know Evan Mobley's out and they've had some injuries too, but I have to wonder whether or not this is going to be used as an excuse for Harden, especially when it gets to the playoffs and especially in games where he's not effective. And I don't think he's going to be using that. I'd be shocked. I mean, if he's going to come out and say, yeah, my thumb's been bothering me, and that's why I haven't played well. I mean, if he's going to do that, then he shouldn't play. You know the old saying, if you are injured, don't play. But if you play, you're not injured. And for Harden, this is going to be, I don't want to say a cloud over him, but you're going to wonder whether or not whenever he rises to the occasion, especially come postseason time, you're not going to look at the thumb. You're going to look at him and say, all right, he's playing well. He's played great. He's done a masterful job. It looks like the thumb's not bothering him. But then from one game to the next, if he goes 3 for 11, 8 points, then you're going to think, oh, well, it's got to be the thumb. And who knows if he's even going to admit that. So just something to think about, because if the Cavaliers are going to be that dark horse team in the East and they're going to need every ounce of him, that thumb, no matter how fractured, broken, whatever, now they say you can play with it, and I'm sure it's going to be bandaged or soft cast or whatever, but we all know he's the type of guy where he's going to need the ball in his hands, he's going to try to dribble, penetrate, use the step back three, etc. And how much of his thumb is going to be a factor and affect him is going to be enormous. I mean, unless he's going to catch and shoot threes all day and let Donovan Mitchell do a lot of the ball handling responsibilities, then who knows? Maybe that will alleviate that. But we know Harden, he's a guy who's going to need the ball in his hands and throw alley-oops. And, I mean, that's Harden's game. And try to wear out his defender for 20 seconds before he chucks a three. I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the one thing that we don't know about Harden at this stage right now is how healthy or how much of a percentage that he could play with it without affecting his play. And that is right now the unknown. So to me, that is the biggest story out of the NBA right now. I'll get to OKC in a minute because they're the second one and talk about a team that's a mass unit. But we all know that when we look at the game's top players and we want to see them do well in big spots, and with Harden, again, I don't need to chronicle or document the back of his basketball card, especially come playoff time. But this is one that now we're really going to see, okay, how bothersome is this thumb of his to the point where does he have to get shut down for maybe not a considerable amount of time, but, a significant amount, or he's able to play through it and it's not going to bother him that much. I mean, a fracture is a fracture. Is it a hairline? Who knows? But we shall see as we move it along here, because that's going to be fascinating, especially the angle with the Cavs, bringing them there to try to get them deeper than they did last year. They made it to a conference semifinal and they lost in 5 to the to the Pacers, and they had the 1 seed in the conference and didn't even get to a conference final. So that's number one. Number two is the Thunder. Now, we know that there are ebbs and flows in an NBA season. We know that teams that have that juggernaut, not mentality, but that juggernaut to the point where they play well defensively or they're an offensive team. And we saw it last year where they won 68 games. And even though they got pushed to a 7th game against the Pacers, but they did win, you can't take it away from them. But now you wonder, not just the physical makeup of this team, as we've seen here. They have a lot of injured players. We know Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. We know Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren. We also now seen yesterday where Isaiah Hartenstein. I mean, they have a lot of players, and their top 6 scorers are out of the lineup. And the Pistons won last night. So, listen, Pistons did what they had to do. They're going to see Oklahoma City, I believe, on March 30th. I believe that's the second time they'll see them, and I'll be in OKC. And who knows how healthy the team will be then. You would think a majority, if not all, those guys will be back at that time. But OKC now is going to be also a focal point here, because with the Spurs winning last night in Toronto and the Spurs in town where I live over the weekend, they'll play Brooklyn tonight, and then they're going to stay the weekend until Sunday afternoon where they have the 1 o'clock game against the Knicks on ABC. And when you look at the standings, the Spurs have not only 2 games in hand, but they're 1 game behind them in the loss column. So the Spurs could overtake the Thunder maybe as early as the next podcast come Monday. And the Spurs, I talked about them last week at this time, talking about how important it is for them to get into the postseason, what Wemby's going to do. It'll be his first ever playoff action. And not to rehash that, but with the Thunder, despite them winning a championship last year and they're defending champs, as you know, and after the tremendous start that they had, they were 24-1, matched the 2015-16 Warriors. And since then, they've still been very good. 21-14? Anybody would take that record. But now the Spurs have, for all intents and purposes, they've caught them. And as we know, the Spurs beat them 4 out of 5 this year, including that semifinal in the NBA Cup for those who care. But now you have to really think about this Oklahoma City Thunder team where they have plenty of time between now and the end of the season to get healthy. And I don't know, even if they don't get a 1 seed, I don't think that'd be debilitating for them. And again, we still have a lot of basketball to digest here. But here's the thing. Jalen Williams, who was out at the beginning of the year with that wrist injury, then he comes back, suffers a hamstring, comes back again, re-aggravates that hamstring. And Chet Holmgren, I believe, has a back issue. Shai, we know his issue with his health right now. And it's a thing where, what if it just doesn't click for them this year, considering the tremendous start that they had? And I understand it's way too early to even get into this, because really, when it comes to Oklahoma City, it's about what's going to transpire between the middle of April and, for them, you would think, maybe deep into June. So even if they become a 2 seed or maybe even a 3 seed, are we going to look at OKC? Oh, they can't win the title. Of course they can, as long as they get healthy at the right time. But here's the danger of that. You wonder if this team now is going to take the pedal off the metal, and psychologically, although I don't think this could be psychologically damning if they do get a 2 seed, but the one thing that could be not only just a psychological or a lack of a psychological edge is them thinking that they could just flick the switch come April 18th and then take off from there. And that's, to me, for any team, that's dangerous. Unless you're talking about an all-time great team, or if it was a situation like the Warriors of the mid-20 teens, or if you want to go back to the Lakers of the early 2000s. Teams that you know could sleepwalk through a regular season, or even a different sport, but look at the Dodgers last year. Dodgers, who a lot of people thought their over-under win total was 104.5, I think. And what did they do? They ended up winning 95 games. And I'm sure there came a point in the season where they just kind of sleptwalked. They were just like, just get us to October, please. Because once we get to October, will flick the switch and then take off. And then what do? They did just that. Now, they had to sweat it out in the World Series, as we know. Down 3-2, going back to Toronto. We saw how that worked out for them. But they have the pedigree. They have the horses. They have the DNA. And although we've seen that with Oklahoma City, at least in the last couple of years, being one seeds the last 2 years, winning a championship, getting off to the great start this year. But now we're going to really see what they're made of from the standpoint of getting healthy, getting back to, if you want to call it Thunder basketball, to get into that postseason and then wear out the opposition to a point where they get back to a conference final, NBA final, and here they are getting ready to defend their title against whomever is representing in the Eastern Conference. So to me, that's what I'm going to look at here with OKC, because they have a lot of guys out. And we know it's not sustainable for them to keep up with a team like San Antonio or even Detroit in the other conference if you're looking for a chance to have the home court throughout the entire postseason. But I'll be monitoring. I'll be seeing what's going to happen with them as we move it along, because are they going to take pedal off the metal, considering that they're injured? Or will the guys that step up coming off the bench, are they going to be the ones to now provide a lot of spark, provide a lot of the depth that they have, etc.? So to me, I think those are the two things that are fascinating, at least over the last few days that I've seen, between the Harden injury and the Thunder just being nicked up to the point where how are they going to manage the rest of this regular season as far as getting guys back healthy? And then when they do get back, how they play, if they could get back to being that team that was 24-1, as opposed to the team that still very good at 21-14, but certainly not the powerhouse that we think and believe that the Thunder can be. But besides that, as we look around the sport, and I'll take a look at the schedule too, other teams that have done well, played well. And the Spurs, we talk about, they've won 10 in a row now, one back in a loss. Everything's pretty much status quo, guys. I mean, I'm not going to sit here to say that, oh, you had this interesting development or this happening. I mean, the teams are where they are right now, both conferences. Not a lot is flip-flopped. Not a lot is come from a team that, oh, wow, this team's won 6 in a row. They were an 8 seed. Now they're a 5 seed. You haven't had any of that. So East and West, same. Now, you may have a little bit more intrigue in the East, especially when you get to the bottom rung with the 7 through 10, because the Bucks are one game behind the Hornets. And I would like to see the Hornets get in. Atlanta, get them out of there. I mean, because Orlando, Miami, and you could even look at the Sixers as they're just a half game ahead of Orlando, and they're actually tied in the loss, where the Heat are 2 in the loss, but just a game behind the Magic for the 7 seed. But you have Atlanta, Charlotte, and Milwaukee pretty much going to fight it out now. They all have 31 losses. And the Bucks have not just 2 games in hand on Charlotte, but 3 games in hand on Atlanta. And if Giannis, whenever he comes back, you would think just him and his powers alone. And let's face it, the Bucks here throughout this stretch, they've actually played very well. And when you think about it, what they've without Giannis, they've won 7 of the last 10. You had a 7-3. Listen, who would have thought? You would look at this Bucks team. As a matter of fact, 8-2. I got that wrong. So they played well without him in the lineup, and that's a testament to Doc Rivers. And we know Rivers, I get it, won a championship with the Celtics many moons ago, but whether it was in L.A. with the Clippers blowing 3-1 series leads, Philadelphia against his former team up 3-2, couldn't seal the deal at home and get blown out in a game 7 in Boston. And now he's with the Bucks, middling, but I'm sure the NBA would love to have Giannis in at least the playing tournament for now, because, I mean, think about it. I want to see Charlotte there only because we haven't seen Charlotte there. Not that they're going to be long for the postseason, but why not? It's different. We haven't seen Charlotte in any type of competitive postseason scenario. But you'd rather see Giannis in there than the Hawks. I mean, who are we kidding? And then out west, you can forget about anybody south of the Clippers. The Clippers have a 6-game lead over the Grizzlies and everybody else in the conference for that matter. But, yeah, it's pretty much same old with the NBA. And as far as the schedule for the weekend, Prime Video, Houston at Orlando, 7:30. And they're going to be in Florida over the weekend because I believe they play Miami on Saturday. Minnesota at the Clippers tonight. Those are your Prime Video games. The other games of note, Miami at Philly. Not a lot of good games tonight. Portland at Chicago. Sacramento, Dallas. Lakers and Phoenix. Those are the games of note. Tomorrow, your ESPN doubleheader. Cleveland at Detroit. Let's see if Harden returns. Then you have Denver at Oklahoma City, another big game there. So you got a very good doubleheader there for ESPN. Then you have Knicks and the Bucks, Memphis, Dallas, Brooklyn at Boston. Saturday, Portland at Charlotte, Houston at Miami. That's a Prime Video game. Toronto, Washington, Lakers at Golden State. I don't think you're going to see Curry in the game, but you got that. And then New Orleans at Utah. And then Sunday, San Antonio, New York, as I mentioned, at 1 o'clock. 3:30 is Minnesota at Denver. Your NBC game at night is Philadelphia at Boston. And in between, Detroit at Orlando, OKC at Dallas, Sacramento at the Lakers, New Orleans at the Clippers. You got nothing. Cleveland at Brooklyn, for those who want to see the Cavaliers in town. That's funny. You could actually do a doubleheader if you're lucky enough to get a Knick ticket, because, of course, Brooklyn Net tickets, they can't give them away. But you could actually go doubleheader. You could go to the Garden, and then you may miss the first few minutes of Cleveland-Brooklyn, but then you can just hop on the subway and go right to Barclays and watch 2 games in one day. It's actually not bad when you think about it. And the weather in New York's supposed to be nice this weekend, so how about that? So that is your association. As far as the college game, college at this very moment, when you look at the landscape, I got to start off with the Houston Cougars. They've now lost 3 games in a row. They lose to Kansas the other night, and now you got to wonder whether or not that their opportunity to get a 1 seed in a bracket is starting to slip through their hands. Houston, as we all know, coached by Kelvin Sampson, defensive-minded team. Don't really have the offensive horses. Now, we still got another 2.5 weeks to chew on this to see what's going to happen with the Cougars, but I think they're in danger now. UConn, after their blowout win last night over the Johnnies, the Red Storm there of St. John's, I'm sure that's going to put them in a spot to where UConn's going to want to capture one of those 4 seeds. Because you would think it's going to be Arizona, Duke, Michigan, and now Houston with them flailing here. You got to wonder whether or not that they're going to get a 1 seed. Now, if they run the table from here on out and win a Big 12 championship, or even if they go to a semifinal, that may get them a 1 seed. But listen, I can't say that right now. They have not played well. And I mean, think about it. They've lost 3 in a row. Now, I understand they lost to the likes of Arizona, Iowa State, and now Kansas. These 3 teams that are ranked in the top 15 and 2 in the top 5. So I understand it's a tough stretch right here of their schedule, and nobody's going to knock them for not beating those opponents. And 2 of those games on the road. Now, they lost to Arizona at home, but you would think it's going to lighten up a little bit. Let me see if I look at their schedule. Let's see. They have Colorado and Baylor coming up. So, I mean, come on. Those are games that they'll win. But I wouldn't say I'm worried, but I'd be concerned whether or not. They may get in when it's all said and done as a 1 seed. That we'll see. But I'd be a little concerned. I won't say worried, because you want to get that 1 seed. You want to be able to have that top seed. Now, you're not going to get the top overall seed. That could be either Duke or Michigan, I would think, right now. Maybe Arizona too. But right now, Cougars need to regroup, get it together. And listen, with Colorado coming in, I'm sure that's the best cure for all their ills right now. But we'll see if that number 1 seed is in jeopardy as Selection Sunday is 2 weeks from this coming Sunday. And then UConn, I mean, listen, that game last night, a 32-point drubbing, 72-40. Listen, they didn't just take him to the back of the woodshed and beat him. I mean, up and down the block, sidewalk, behind the woodshed. I mean, they just bludgeoned them. And the thing about St. John's that I'd be concerned about is, they're tenacious. They're going to come at you. They don't have big-time scoring, although they have guys that could score. But that's the one thing I'd be worried. They don't have 1 or 2 guys that are just in the bank locks, like, all right, that guy's going to put up 20 any night. As evidenced by last night. Now, I don't know. Maybe that was a little bit of vendetta for Danny Hurley and the Huskies to just get it at St. John's like that. And listen, they did that and then some. But, yeah, St. John's, I could see them being maybe not a sleeper, maybe a dark horse, depending on what region they're going to be in. But, yeah, that game last night, listen, you could lose in stores, you could lose on the road. But, I mean, they got eviscerated. And speaking of eviscerated, that's what you saw Duke the other day behind Cameron Boozer. Now, I understand they beat up Notre Dame, but they put an 100 spot on them. And they beat them, I think 100-56, some crazy score like that. And Duke right now, they're looking like the number 1 team, as they are, and deservedly so. But the thing with Boozer, and I've watched a little bit of Duke here, and how can you not like his game? But I don't know if he's going to be able to shoot from the perimeter on a consistent basis. I think him attacking the basket is going to open up that. If he's going to settle for jump shots, that's why I think it's dangerous for Boozer and for Duke for that matter. But listen, Duke's going to be a tough out. I mean, that's all there is to it. I hate to say that, but I got to be honest. Now, this isn't a vintage Duke team. This isn't a team where it's like, whoa, they're going to, I mean, look at last year. They had 2 guys drafted in the top 5 or 6, maybe top 5 with Kneppel and Flagg. Did that bring them a national championship? It did not. And I would even think that last year's Duke team is better than this year. I mean, people could debate that, and you can leave a comment, of course, in the description or in the comment box. But for Duke right now, listen, they're looking as strong as anybody else in the nation, as evidenced by what we've seen here recently, beating Michigan over the weekend and obviously destroying Notre Dame. But when push comes to shove, once we get to the middle of March and we start looking at these brackets and how everything's aligned, that's when we're going to really be able to dissect it. And think about that. 2 weeks from this coming Monday, I'll be on live to talk about it. And I won't have my bracket done then. I'll have it done Thursday of the tournament. Now, I understand you're going to say, well, Jay Reels, you have the first 4 Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah, but we'll just pencil those teams in and we'll go by the 1 through 64. And the good thing is that because I come on at 11, and obviously I'm going to lead with that I'll tell you who my Final Four team is before any of the games tip off, which they usually tip off around 12:15, 12:20, somewhere around there. So just a heads up, people, that week, those 2 podcasts, which would be March 16th and March 19th, 16th will go through the bracket, and the 19th, I'll tell you who my Final Four is, etc. And other than that, let me see. Any games of the note this weekend? I'm sure you got a couple. Let me see. Schedule. Yeah, college basketball right now, finally, it took a while. Obviously with the NFL, and even though conference play has been going on for quite some time. But, yeah, unfortunately, college basketball, as I've said a million times, it's not like it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. It just isn't. And I get it. Different world we live in with the transfer portals and NILs and one and dones. That's been going on, forever, as you know. But college basketball, to me, it's like I got to warm up to it. Well, right now, I'm at the fire, and it's feeling pretty good. All right, games of note. Virginia and Duke. That's Saturday. What is your night game? Texas Tech, Iowa State. Kansas at Arizona. So they got a rematch there. And I know Darren Peterson, I know he's been under a lot of people's eyes in this day and age. I know him taking himself out of games. And listen, let's see what he does come tournament time. If he's going to start doing that then I'd really would question his testicular fortitude and his will. Regular season, yeah, he can raise an eyebrow, but let's get to March. And if he's going to start pulling that junk then we got an issue. Yeah, Sunday's games, nothing really sticks out. So Saturday, got a couple of games to chew on, and we'll see how that unfolds over the weekend. All right, now let me turn my attention. Should I lace up the skates? I guess I should do that now, right? As we talk about what's happening on the ice with the NHL. And there's not really much to get into here. I know you had the games come back last night after their 3-week hiatus with the Olympic break. And the one question, I talked about this yesterday on the live stream every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time on YouTube here on the channel, to where the gold medal game on Sunday, is there going to be any momentum, any carryover into the last final third of the hockey season? Now, last night, the Devils hosted the Buffalo Sabres, and it had big warm welcome for Jack Hughes, obviously the game-winning goal there against Canada on Sunday. And you had a ton of players, even Tage Thompson, Buffalo was there. And a lot of the Devil players were part of this Olympic team. And the Devils lost last night. But that's only going to go but so far. Like after last night, when they got the rousing ovation and the heroes welcome, that the Devils, as you know, they're hovering at the bottom of the Atlantic Division and well on the outside looking in as far as a playoff spot. So just because Jack Hughes gets the win for the U.S. and they bring home the gold medal, does that mean now the Devil fans are going to be cheering Jack Hughes from now until game 82? I don't know. To me, I didn't think there was going to be any carryover or any momentum after last night, or when Connor Hellebuck is going to go into an American city. Last night they played in Vancouver, and who knows, maybe he got booed, considering that he stood on his head in that game against the Canadians. But I don't expect it. To me, it's going to be business as usual. It's almost as if they took the 3 weeks off, and now it's like, all right. It's almost as if they never left. That, oh, yeah, there was a gold medal game in between, but that's the Olympics. This is the NHL. Two totally different situations. So, I mean, that's pretty much what I have. And I gave you a little overview on Monday's podcast. If you haven't watched it or listened to it, please go back and do so right here on the channel or on Apple or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. But I gave you a bit of an overview, and not to go over that again, but if you want to get a deep dive of me talking about that, you can certainly do so. But really, after the games last night, the only thing I'm going to say here is the Toronto Maple Leafs losing to the Lightning. And people know, if you listen to the podcast, I'm not a Maple Leaf fan, but I love Craig Berube, the coach, former tough guy dating back to his days in the 80s with the Flyers, but then bounced around, was on the Capitals, Calgary, a few other teams along the way. But yeah, I think Toronto's in trouble. And if that's going to be the case, that means Berube's going to be out, which is a shame because they had Sheldon Keefe as their coach. And when they got rid of him, they bring in Berube. And Berube, you know, won a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues in 2019. And no nonsense guys, you know. But maybe that message is falling on deaf ears in that locker room. Not looking good there in Toronto, and who knows if they're going to be a team that's going to make it out alive, at least to qualify and make the postseason, because at this present moment, it is not. And they're playing in Florida tonight after losing in Tampa last night. And yeah, listen, do I go over standings? I mean, absolutely not. They just had one game back. None of the games last night really stick out. You know, I mean, it is what it is. And the only reason why I bring up the Maple Leafs is because this is a team that year in, year out, a lot of people, especially north of the border, they're going to look at and say, all right, is this the year Toronto's going to make a run? They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. They won a playoff series last year against Ottawa before losing to Florida. Can they do it this year? Right now, it's certainly not looking good. And I guess it's time to look at the standings because other than that, and before I take a look at the schedule, there really isn't anything else to unpack with the NHL. Right now, the Maple Leafs and with the wild card, let's bring those standings up. The wild card's held by the Bruins, who have the last spot, 69 points. I need my glasses here. I don't know why they're not here. Now, the Leafs are 6 points behind them. Not insurmountable by any stretch, but they can't continue to falter. And as it is, the Panthers are behind them right now, 2 points to 61. I talked about the Panthers the other day. I don't think they're going to be a team that's, even if they make it out alive and get into the postseason, they're not long for the playoffs. Not the 3 straight runs to a Stanley Cup final, winning the last 2. But the Panthers are 2 points behind the Leafs, so if they want to catch them, they can certainly do that tonight. So am I going to say must win for Toronto? No, but I would think they'll feel better about themselves with a win, get 2 points closer to the Bruins. Do the Bruins play tonight? I'll look at the schedule in a minute. But, yeah, that's what you have in the Western Conference. With the wild card, you have Utah and Seattle, 64 and 63 points respectively. Then you have the Kings at 60, followed by Predators 59, San Jose 58, and then Winnipeg is 54 and down the line. But as far as the schedule, tonight, Columbus at Boston, Islanders at Montreal, Detroit at Ottawa, Toronto, Florida, Jersey at Pittsburgh, Tampa, Carolina, Flyers at the Rangers, Seattle, St. Louis, Minnesota, Colorado. That's a very good game tonight. Edmonton at LA as they're doing their California trip. They lost last night to Anaheim. Tomorrow, Buffalo at Florida, Vegas to Washington, Minnesota, Utah, Winnipeg, Anaheim. Saturday, you have your double dip on ABC. Pittsburgh at New York. Let's play the Rangers, 12:30, followed by Boston at Philadelphia, 3 o'clock. And, man, I think of Boston and Philadelphia. I cannot think. Anytime I see those two teams, especially on the ice, I think back to the good old days. The Big Bad Bruins, the Broad Street Bullies, Terry O'Reilly, John Wensink, Ben Wilson, Dave Schultz. Then the 80s, Jay Miller, Lyndon Byers, Gord Kluzak, Dave Brown, Craig Berube. All the tough guys. Craig Smith. I tell you. That was hockey. I digress. Edmonton at San Jose, good game there. Islanders at Columbus. Washington, Montreal, Buffalo, Tampa, Detroit, Carolina, Calgary, LA, Nashville, Dallas, Vancouver, Seattle. And then Sunday, TNT game, Vegas at Pittsburgh, 1 o'clock. Chicago, Utah, Winnipeg, San Jose, St. Louis, Minnesota, Florida at New York, play the Islanders, and Calgary, Anaheim. That is your schedule there for the NHL for the upcoming weekend. Let me see. Is there anything else that I missed, NHL? A couple of things. Now that I think about it, I got to forget some news and notes. Trade deadline is a week from tomorrow. Just keep that in mind. Number one, Mikko Rantanen, the Stars winger, out 2 weeks with a lower body injury. To go on top of Sidney Crosby, I talked about that yesterday, 4 weeks with a lower body injury that he suffered at the Olympics. That's a big loss for them, especially as Pittsburgh trying to stay with that 2 seed ahead of the Islanders for home ice. And Joel Quenneville, the former Blackhawk coach, briefly with the Panthers, now in Anaheim, got us 1,000th victory last night against Edmonton. Only the second coach in NHL history to get to 1,000 wins. Think about that. When you have Al Arbor and Badger Bob Johnson and a lot of the great coaches that you've seen throughout the NHL history, Glenn Sather, have not reached 1,000 victories. And here is Quenneville, who has 3 Stanley Cups in his back pocket with the aforementioned Blackhawks in the 20 teens. And Scotty Bowman at 1,244, 1,244 as far as wins go. So congratulations to Joel Quenneville. And then the Penguins sent Brent Kulak, who they got in the trade for Tristan Jarry from Edmonton to Colorado for Samuel Girard on the pick. So the Avalanche get some reinforcements on the back line there with Kulak. So kudos to them as they try to get themselves in position to stay at the 1 seed and go deep into this upcoming postseason, which obviously we still got to wait another less than 2 months to go. All right, now let me turn my attention. Let me see. I want to make sure I'm doing this in sequential order here. I don't want to go all over the place. Yeah, 3 more things to discuss before I get to your comments, questions, etc. So I appreciate those who have put in comments and have hung in there that are watching here on the YouTube channel. I'm going to get in the batter's box. Little baseball. And yes, I got to start off with this topic. And I know I haven't put the graphics up on the channel. I'm just, like I said, just rolling them off as I go. Tarek Skubal. Talked about this yesterday. I want to expound on this a little bit. So Tarek Skubal, as we all know, Detroit Tiger pitcher, 2-time defending Cy Young Award winner in the American League. Going into a walk year, final year there in Detroit. Detroit, haven't heard rumblings about him being traded. We know that he's going to leave after this year. We know who his agent is, etc. Well, he said he's going to participate in the WBC, that being the World Baseball Classic, which begins, I believe, March 5th and runs through St. Paddy's Day. Well, Tarek Skubal says that he wants to participate and pitch for the U.S. team in the Baseball Classic, but is only going to pitch once. And when he comes back, even if that means that the Americans are in the final, he's coming back on the bench as a spectator. How I look at it is that if you're going to pitch one start or maybe come in relief, who knows? And then you want to be on the bench, let's say in a final, to hopefully see your team win and capture the WBC. How lame sauce is that? If you're going to be in the WBC, stick it out. Pitch throughout. Don't just say, oh, I'm going to have one start and then I'm going to pull the reins, but I do want to come back. But to be a cheerleader? I don't know how else to say it, but Tarek Skubal is going down a road where you can't question his ability, but you got to question what's between his ears right now. Because either you're in or you're out. Either don't pitch on the WBC and stick around for the whole thing, or just be a part of it. Immerse yourself in it. Pitch a start, maybe 2. He's not going to go 6-7 innings and throw 100 pitches. That you already know. Is it because you're worried about getting hurt? Again, if that's in the back of your mind, he's not going to admit that. But because he has a big payday forthcoming and he has to remain it just reeks of him being selfish and him not looking at the big picture. Well, he's looking at the big picture, getting paid, but you're there to compete. You're there to show why you are the best pitcher in the sport. So, and granted, it's not as if he's going to go in there and he's going to throw 7 shutout innings. That is not going to be the case. These guys are on pitch limits as they ramp themselves up to get ready for the regular season. And all I'll say is this. Whether you trade for him before the start of the year, which may be unlikely, or at the deadline where he's going to be a rental and you have to give up a ton for him, which I wouldn't, even if he has another Cy Young caliber performance year. And I understand the Tigers have every reason to fleece a team, especially if he has another monster year. But it's like, wait, he's a rental. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sign him. So, yeah, I'll give you top prospects, but I'm not giving you my main prospects. That's just me. But, and then more so come off season where he's going to be a free agent. He's going to command top dollar. All I'll say is buyer beware. Because I could see him being the same guy last year. Game 5, division series against Seattle. A chance to advance, to go to the ALCS. And what does he do? After his 99th pitch at 101 miles an hour, I believe, striking out Cal Raleigh and calling it a night. I don't know if I want to have that guy on my team. I want my guy to go as deep into a game as he possibly can. And if he runs out of gas, so be it. Not hand the ball off at 99 pitches in a 2-1 game where your team was leading. And then right out the gate, Kyle Finnegan comes in, the reliever, and promptly gives up the tying run. I mean, was Skubal not stewing in the locker room or in the dugout when he saw that unfold? In the back of his mind thinking like, damn, if I was still out there, they probably wouldn't have scored. Hindsight's 20/20, but so is wishful thinking in this regard. And he could have prevented it. So, yeah. And I like Skubal. I got nothing against the guy. Love to watch him pitch. But again, what is up here between those ears for him to not want to participate or fully participate in this WBC? And people say Jay Reels has a right to do what he wants, blah, blah, blah. Well, you just can't show up, which is a 12-day tournament. I can see if it was on a travel team all year, or this was a tournament that was going to last a month. No, he's probably going to pitch twice at the most, has declared I'm going to pitch once, and then that's it. And then I'll come back with my feet up. I mean, how do you like that if you're a fan? And not only that, he's going to sit on the bench, and let's say they play into the deciding game, and what are you going to do? Oh, my God, I need a closer. I already used, I don't even know who the closer is on the American team, but let's say, I don't know. Whomever it is, player X, he pitched in the 8th inning. I need a guy. Tarek, can you warm up and go out in the 9th inning? Tarek's going to be like, no, I'm just here to spectate. Then why the hell are you on the bench for? I'll get off that. And Max Scherzer will return to the Toronto Blue Jays for his 19th season. Signed a 1-year deal in Toronto. I believe it's $3 million. Not a lot. I mean, the guy's made a ton of money in his life. So really, $3 million, I understand, is a pittance for him and for Major League Baseball, but obviously an overabundance for me, you, and everybody else that's out there. But, and I believe they got some injuries here so far throughout camp. Why not? Bring him in. He'll be a 5th starter. He'll go ahead and hopefully give them a shot in the arm and a lot of buildup heading into the season. And hopefully he stays healthy and has a big year for him. And see where it goes. I can't knock it. I can't kill the signing. I actually think it's really good. But that's what you have with the baseball. Let me see if anything else is cropped up here. MLB. I know, yeah, Chris Sale did sign a 1-year, $27 million extension with the Braves. So, yeah, he stays put. But, yeah, that's what I got there for baseball. Now, let me turn my attention as I put on the helmet and shoulder pads, and this will be brief, people. You found out yesterday that the NFL has added 3 more international games with teams attached. 2 of those 3 games will be home games for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is a first. And I think very unfair for the league to do that for this reason. Last year, the AFC had the imbalance of home games where they had the 9 and then 8 road games. So this year, it's in reverse. They had the 8 home games and the 9 road games. Could they have not chosen a year where if both games in London are home games to where they're going to have back in Duval County 6 home games? You couldn't wait till next year to give them the 2 home games in London to play back-to-back weeks and then have at least 7 games stateside? No. They had to be pigs about it and play them in, I think Jacksonville's playing in Wembley and in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, which will also be the site for the Washington Commanders as their home site to whomever it is that they host come next October, November, maybe even December for that matter. So for the Jags, 2 games in London, I'm sure the people down in Jacksonville can't stand it, don't like it. Maybe there's something to say, hey, we can go to London for a weekend or for 2 weeks or maybe 8 or 9 days. You see him the 1 week and then go see him the following week. As you know, I'm not in favor of the international games. Don't like it. Don't want to get up at 9:30 to watch unless it's my team. Did so last year when the Steelers hosted the Minnesota Vikings there in Dublin. And if that's going to be the case, if the Steelers do play, I don't think they will, but so be it. But, yeah, not a fan of the international games. That's all I got there. I'm not getting into – now, I can talk about this trade real quick where Jermaine Johnson from the Jets gets traded to the Titans for T'Vondre Sweat. Johnson, who was an anchor on that defensive line, why they traded him? Let's see. Can we find out? Yeah, the deal marks the latest move in a protracted teardown of a once formidable defense for the Jets. Yep. He'll be reunited with Robert Saleh. Johnson did have a down year, but still, I believe, I believe he did make the, I know everybody makes the Pro Bowl, but yeah, I'm just looking at here with Sweat, interior presence. Yeah. If you're a Jet fan, are you in love with the deal? Do you like it? Listen, I'm not watching Tennessee Titan games, so I don't know anything about T'Vondre Sweat, but I think there's got to be some upside there. He was just drafted 2 years ago. And, yeah, if you're a Jet fan, you're just hoping that Darren Moogie, or Moogie, I don't even pronounce it, the GM, is pushing all the right buttons. That this isn't a situation where they're getting rid of players or contracts and then not refilling those roster spots with other free agents or through the draft. So we'll have to see what happens there. But, yeah, I can't get into a lot of these other NFL news and notes. You know, not Terrell. That's Jamel's brother. Tremaine Edwards asked to seek a trade from the Bears. Does that move the needle? It does not. What else? Yeah, just a lot of these. I know the Titans already cut Xavier Woods and their center, Lloyd Cushenberry, the third. Maybe they can re-sign them, come back to the team. But, again, I'm not on top of Titans football. But that's pretty much it there, what we got with the NFL. And we all know, like I said, the year will begin in less than 2 weeks, and I'm sure we'll be our heads will be spinning in a frenzy to dissect it all, digest it, and present it to you guys and gals. So that will have to wait and see. But that's it for the NFL. Now, lastly, as I put on my boxing gloves, get in the ring, talk a little boxing. How could I say this without being very insulting? Nah, you just got to go in. So Floyd Mayweather's coming out of retirement. He's not only fighting Mike Tyson in an exhibition bout. I guess that's in June. I don't even know when. Honestly, I could care less. But then on September 19th, date's already set this year, where Floyd Mayweather is going to have a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. Guys, don't we think it's a little Or too little, too late? Or how about too little, way late? The first question is, who in their right frame of mind wants to see a rematch between these two guys? Mayweather, who we haven't seen fighting forever, and I'm sure he could still elude a flurry, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive fighter of all time in any class. That'll give it up to Floyd. But he can't break a pane of glass with his punches. He is he's 50 years old. I mean, what do we expect? To not only see him get in the ring with Mike Tyson, but Manny Pacquiao too? Does Pacquiao need the money? Does Mayweather need the money? And we know Mayweather flosses all the time, courtside with sacks of stacked bills. And I mean, really, are we still doing that at 50 years old? We know who you are. Is he doing that to justify that he has money? And maybe we know he's broke. Now, I know he's like the best gambler of all time. And who knows? Maybe he's fallen on hard times with bad gambling debts, but he's a guy that will place $1 million on a Super Bowl prop bet, and it hits, and he ends up winning $10 million, whatever. We've seen or heard those stories forever. But to go back to the fight itself, I'm sorry, people. And I've never been a Mayweather fan of his fights. To me, other than watching him defensively, give it up 100%. But he was never an exciting fighter in my eyes. And to think he's going to fight both Tyson and Pacquiao throughout, whether it be late spring, into the summer, and then at the back end of summer on the 19th of September. The immortal words, people. If they were playing in the backyard, I'd draw the blinds. And this is a money grab. And Mayweather's going to go based on his name, his reputation. He's always looks like he's in good shape, whatever. We understand it's an exhibition. I mean, what is there to watch? I mean, what? You could be the biggest fight fan. You could be Max Kellerman. And I'm sure he had to roll his eyes like up. And he's probably going to watch because that's what he loves. He loves boxing. But, I mean, do we expect anything to happen here? Any excitement? Build up? I don't care what kind of trash talk. I don't care if Pacquiao says, I'm going to destroy you and your entire family. No. I mean, it's just goes to show you how dreadful boxing has become. I mean, you're going to have these guys in a ring and then Tyson and Mayweather. Is this what it's come down to? Is it really that bad? I mean, we've talked about Jake Paul trying to resuscitate boxing, and we saw what happened in his last fight. And I understand you had Terrence Crawford retire. You don't have much. Yeah, there may be some fighters. I know Ryan Garcia won his fight there the other night, but we know Garcia, after losing to Gervonta Davis, has had his own personal issues that he's been dealing with. And I believe he lost another fight in the process. All right, he won this time. I forgot he even fought. But, boxing is just, it's putrid. I don't know what else to say about it, people. I mean, come on. Am I wrong? Am I not right? Am I inaccurate? I mean, please tell me. Leave a comment. Post it. I'll follow up with it momentarily. But the fight game might as well be called the fight shame because it is an out-and-out disaster. I hate to end it on that note, but, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Is there an MMA bout this weekend that I should be aware of? That's of note? Ugh. Let me see. Nah. Nothing. Yeah, I know. Hey, maybe I could end it on this. I mean, Ronda Rousey's coming out of retirement to fight Gina Carano. Am I going to be? Conor McGregor teases a return. Open to fight No Name. He's got to be down on his luck too. I mean, does anybody want to see Conor McGregor? I don't know. I guess that's the only way I could end this thing. I'm going to land it like that. As turbulent. But please, people, correct me if I'm wrong. Because Mayweather, Pacquiao, Mayweather, Tyson, Mayweather, Paul, Tyson, Paul, all these combinations do not, I repeat, and I underline in caps, do not find this intriguing at all. All right, let's get to your comments. And for those who hung on here, I appreciate you guys. Hey, Nevaeh Pires, first one. Welcome aboard. I don't know if you're still with us. If you are. And yes, Jay, if you're still with us, Jay Chang, this is the podcast. All right. I love it. Where will LeBron land as an all-time great? Listen, he's in my eyes, he's on Mount Rushmore. My Mount Rushmore would be Kareem, Jordan, LeBron, and I'd have to put Magic. That'd be my Mount Rushmore. Magic, because he was 6'9", revolutionized the game as a point guard. Jordan's Jordan. Kareem, and LeBron. Those are your four. I understand you could argue a few other people or players, whatever. You could throw in Bill Russell, the biggest winner in the history of the sport. 11 of 13 championships. I have to put Kareem there. I mean, Kareem, next to LeBron, had the greatest NBA career of all time. But when Kareem got to 40, when he was 40 years old, and I think it was his last year, 89, he was averaging 10 points a game. Where LeBron, what is LeBron averaging now? In the low 20s? Let me see. I'm going to pull up LeBron's numbers now. Should notice off the top of my head, but I do not. LeBron's averaging 21.7 a game. 21, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds a game. He's 41 years old. I understand he's missed a chunk of games. I get that at the beginning of the year, but so yeah, that would be my Mount Rushmore. Jay Chang. But yeah, is he an all-time great? LeBron is an immortal. Let's call it as we see it. And I understand he's 4-6 in NBA Finals, and he's won 4 MVPs. No, not the 5 like Jordan. I think he has 6, if I'm not mistaken. I think Magic won 5. But yeah, he's an immortal player. What will the league look like after he retires? I think the league will be fine because you got a lot of good players. And I'm not even going to talk about the players of his generation, the Steph Curry's, the Kevin Durant's. Not those guys. Right now, the league is SGA, even Jokic. I know he's 30, going on 31. Luka, Anthony Edwards, Wembanyama. To me, Wembanyama could really take a stranglehold and be the face. And I understand it's tough because he's not from this country, but the guy is a freak, though. And I think Wembanyama could be that guy. I'm not saying he's going to be that guy, but I think the league's in good hands, though. Everybody's saying, what's up? Yes, Val. That's all right, but it's exhibition too, Val. You can't take it that serious. We just fired my GM and oh, really? Oh, yeah. Wait, hold on a second. Cleveland, San Francisco guy. So you're a T-Wolf fan, right, Jay? If you're still with us, let me scroll all the way down. Let me see. Bio, I see your comment. I'm going to write about that. Let me just go on this thing. T Solo, somebody's hating? What do you mean? Maybe I should go backwards with these. Nobody gives a ice soccer? You talking about hockey? That's a weird one. All right. I'm not crazy about the name there. Is that who I think it is in the whatchamacallit? It has to be, right? Is that Jake Paul after surgery? T Solo, who am I hating on? All right, I'll go back to the comments. Kobe over Magic. I can't put him there only because, and this is no slight or knock on Kobe by any means. Magic was transformative. I don't think Kobe was. Now, I understand Mamba mentality. I understand what he means to two generations of basketball players, fans, etc. But, and look, like you said, he was your idol, Bio. But yeah, Magic, nobody heard of a coming out of college, 6'8", 6'9". We talked about it on the podcast pregame as a rookie, 42, 15, and 7, 20 years old. I mean, I got to put Magic there. As far as Mount Rushmore, my 4. And Magic is, you could argue, he's top 5 all time. I understand that's subjective too. When we look at, if you're going to think, if I had to choose my top 5, I know I usually go in like in the generational order. I go Bill, Russell, Wilt, Kareem, Jerry West, Oscar, Magic, Bird, Jordan, LeBron, Duncan, or Duncan, LeBron, because Duncan was drafted before him. Those would be my top 10. Not in that order, but if I had to put my top 5, it would probably be Kareem, Jordan, LeBron, Magic. I know. Do I put Wilt or do I put Russell there? Jerry West. I mean, obviously, I never saw West play. Yeah, but it's an interesting debate. It really is. Oh, and I got to give a shout out. I don't know if he's still here. I should have done that at the very beginning. I did call the Spurs catching. Oh, you did? All right, Donavis. Oh, I got to think about that. Shout out to you, Donavis. Happy birthday, my man. Wishing you many more. Whatever it is that you're doing, enjoy. Jay Chang, I don't know if you're still with us. Is this where the chat is? It is. I know this was at 11 a.m. 49ers. Move the camera back a little. Wait, so I got to be back here? Wait, because I was on top of it. Yeah, because I don't want to have a ton of headroom. Right, if I do the podcast like this, you would think I have birds flying over me. All right, Anders Pedersen. Show your comments some love. I don't know if you're still with us, but the 2 seed might be a better place than 1 matchup wise. If they're a 2 seed, yeah, because that means they will go up against Denver, though. Would you rather go up against Denver or Houston, LA? Yeah, all right, Outlaw. I'll give you 1 slap. That was from the previous one. OKC's young, I play over experience 2C1. Nah, yeah, I agree with you. That won't hurt him at all. I agree. Yeah, exactly. I agree too. And you know what? Maybe they're starting to realize that it's about the end result. After that tremendous start, now they're getting nicked up. And listen, I'm sure they're going to play hard and do all that. But I would think that they realize that, hey, we don't have to go all out to the point where we burn ourselves out by the time we get to April. And who knows, conference semis or even conference final, and you don't make it out of that. That they realize that the health is important, that, all right, we may lose a few more games. People may even be concerned, oh, what's going on with OKC? All right, they're injured. But, so yeah, I agree. A lot of love in the room. I love it. Val, the novice. What are we discussing? Right now we're discussing anything. Whatever you guys. Where's Bauer hockey gear? Bio, have I been to Barclays? Yes, I have. And I've been to Barclays for 3 different events. Saw basketball, Celtics many moons ago. Been there for hockey when the Islanders were there briefly, which is not an arena for hockey. And actually had seen a concert at the Barclays. I sat upstairs, right at the stage. Not a bad seat in the Barclays, too, because it has an overhang. I saw The Weeknd there. And he was very good. Back in 2015. Norman Powell for the Miami Heat. What is this? Jameer Watkins. All right. All right, so I'm almost caught up with all these comments. All right. Ice soccer. Somebody's hating. Thank you, Val, as always. Oh, you wear glasses too? Yes. Sadly, I need them. And you would think they'd be here. The funny thing is, I could see the print here in the chat room, but when you get to that small print, when I'm looking at standings, that's tricky. Because I don't know if that's a 6 or it's an 8 or, a 9. That's where it gets a little dicey with my vision. But let's see. Yeah, I think that's all the comments. All right, let me scroll all the way down. Yeah, the last one was right here for bio for Kobe River Magic. Listen, I know that when it comes to Lakers all time, and why not? We'll have some fun with this too. I know anybody else wants to chime in on this. And Donavis, I believe you're a Laker fan too. It's hard not to put Kobe as number one because recency bias, number one. Number two, he played his whole career here, similar to Magic. I understand the aforementioned Kareem. You can't put Shaq up there. I mean, you could put Shaq up there, but to me, he's in the bottom rung of that. Obviously, West, original Laker. Elgin Baylor's another one. I understand it's before a lot of people's time. Wilt, but I get it. Wilt was a Sixer and Warrior before he was a Laker, but still was on that 71-72 team that won 33 games in a row. Yeah, I mean, if I had to choose who's the greatest Laker of all time, I guess you'd have to choose Kobe, but even with that, how can you not pick Kareem? I mean, Kareem is Kareem. Skyhook. But I understand. And Magic played. Lakers were the only team he's played in his career. Listen, it's an interesting debate. I'm sure you get a lot of people that would say Kareem. You got a lot of people that say, majority would probably say Kobe. Some would say West. I'm sure if they're going Lakers back to the early 60s. But it's fascinating. That's like saying who's the greatest Celtic of all time. I mean, to me, I know it's going to be not recency bias, but to me, I would have to say Bird. But there's no ifs, ands, buts, maybes about it. The greatest Celtic of all time is Bill Russell. I mean, you start with him and there's everybody else. And if you had a Mount Rushmore for, just like a Mount Rushmore for Lakers, I guess you'd have to put West, Magic, Kareem, and Kobe. Yeah, you can't put Wilt there. You could put Wilt, but no, I wouldn't put him there because you got to think about longevity. You got to think about him playing on one team. I understand Kareem first, 4 or 5 years were in Milwaukee, but then he played the rest of his career in LA. So that's why he belongs there. Jerry West is the logo. Kobe's Kobe and Magic. So for the Celtics, Russell, Bird, Havlicek. You could argue Pierce, believe it or not. Pierce is the second all-time leading scorer in Celtic history. Yeah, I'm not putting Garnett. I'm not putting those guys. You can put McHale, Parrish, Dave Cowens, Tommy Heinsohn. Yeah, I think the 4 would be Russell, Bird, Havlicek, Pierce. I think that would be their Hey, Reed, what's up, man? Oh, let me scroll up. I didn't realize you were chiming in. Elgin Baylor for sure. I know to put him on Mount Rushmore, the Laker Mount Rushmore, that's tough. Top 10 Celtics? All right, well, we gave you the 4. All right, so that's 4. Heinsohn. I mean, do you put Sam Jones? Yeah, you have to. That guy was clutch. Satch Sanders, maybe not. Oh, you got to put McHale. You got to put Parrish. So wait a minute, that's 4 I got? So wait, hold on. That's 4. So, right, I need 2 more. Yeah. Heinsohn, Parrish, McHale. Oh, Bob Cousy. I mean, come on. I can't forget Bob Cousy. Heinsohn. I said Heinsohn. Wait, so Heinsohn, Cousy, Parrish, McHale, Sam Jones with the top 4. So who's number 10? Who's that last one? That could be up for debate. You know, what's fascinating about those lists, because you think about the Mount Rushmore, and I hate to bring it up, but from a historical standpoint, when you look at the Yankees Mount Rushmore, and I laugh, I literally, like, I'm almost in tears when people talk about Aaron Judge being part of Mount Rushmore. Now, that's not knocking Judge, and it's certainly not an insult to say that he doesn't, and it's certainly not an insult to say that he doesn't belong on Mount Rushmore. But you mean to tell me who's cracking Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Mickey Mantle, Joe DiMaggio? Come on. Now, I understand he still has his career left to go. And crazy as this may sound, the worst out of all those guys are Mickey Mantle, who only hit 536 home runs, was a switch hitter, was a how many time MVP? I think he won the MVP 3 times, which Judge has already done. Triple Crown winner at that, which Judge could have done last year, but Cal Raleigh had more home runs. He did win in batting title. I think had more RBIs, or maybe Raleigh did. But Judge is not. Who's cracking those top 4? No one. Just like any Celtic now, any Laker now, anybody could come through. They ain't cracking Russell, Bird, no Havlicek. Just like nobody's cracking Kareem. No one. I got to think who that 10 Celtic is. Yeah, Havlicek 8-0 in the finals. And to speak about, I know I've talked about this before. Havlicek all time, and I was talking about my top 10, what did I do? Top 10, and even in the podcast pregame, I went through like who would be the top 20. Havlicek is probably top 30 player of all time. Now, where I would rank him between 20 and 30, I don't know. I'd have to unpack that. But I had seen lists, and again, a lot of these lists are probably made up by 20-something-year-olds out of college that are in MIT, how they had ranked James Harden. Here I go again. I'm not trying to pound on Harden, I promise you people. They had ranked James Harden 1 spot ahead of John Havlicek. Do they forget that John Havlicek, forget about the titles. John Havlicek was an all-NBA first-team, all-defensive player 8 times. James Harden could dream. Havlicek was, that guy was a tremendous basketball player. Made big shots all the time. And that's the thing. You'll never get recency bias from me. I understand I got to be open to it when people want to put Steph Curry in the top 10 because of the three-point shooting, whatever. And I think Curry would be anywhere between 10 and 15, maybe 12 and 15. He's not cracking my top 10. And I understand the three-point shooting. I get that. But no. And 4 titles, he's not cracking it. Not my book. Put it this way. At the end of the day, we understand he's the greatest shooter of all time. That I'll give him. You want Wilt on your team? You want Russell on your team? You want Kareem on your team? You want Jerry West? Or you're picking Steph Curry? You want Oscar Robertson? Or you're picking Steph Curry? You want Magic, Bird, Jordan, LeBron? Now people say, oh, well, he beat LeBron in the finals. Well, I got news for you. Yes, he did beat him in those 4 years, 3-1. But you don't have to give him truth serum. I would know for sure that he would want that 73-9 when he's throwing behind the back passes late in the fourth quarter out of bounds. He would trade one of those for, I'm sure, one of the Kevin Durant NBA Finals. The first one he would want. The first one's always special. He would trade one of those two for that one. And that's why I got to pick LeBron. Down 3-1. I know no Draymond in game 5. And sorry, Val, I know I'm bringing up bad memories. But sorry. I'm picking LeBron over Curry. And I'm picking Duncan over Curry. I know he's boring, Mr. Fundamental. But that's why Curry doesn't crack the top 10 in my eyes. I'll give him 10 to 15 or 11 to 15 or somewhere in between, but not top 10. And to go back to the Mount Rushmore stuff, I mean, please. Yeah, here we go. Donovan, you said it best. Now, who's the greatest Yankee? I ran out of water, huh? Jeez. I have to say Babe Ruth. But you're right, Lou Gehrig. I mean, the guy played in 2,130 consecutive games and takes a backseat to nobody. And I understand it was the dead ball era and people could talk about that, whatever. But if I start comparing numbers, and even Judge, I know he has black type and black type is good. But if I start breaking down Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, and Mickey Mantle's numbers to Aaron Judge, you're going to be like, damn. And I know Judge has hit what? 60 home runs twice? Or he's hit more than 50 4 times. You know what? Let's have this fun exercise. The novice, you open this up. Yeah, Reed. Paris for sure. Bill Sharman. Yeah, that's another one. I know. Dennis Johnson. Oh, no. I picked Havlicek, the novice, out of the top 4. So Russell, Havlicek, Bird, and Pierce. Those are my 4. No, right. I didn't list that because those are my 4. And then I went Heinsohn, Parrish, McHale, Kuzi, and Sam Jones. JoJo White. Yeah, original Iron Man. No, he was a good Celtic. I don't think he was a great. Dave Cowens, he was an MVP. Yeah, Reggie Lewis. Rest in peace. Nah, obviously he doesn't have the length. Yeah, Reggie Lewis is very good. Ask Michael Jordan about Reggie Lewis. Gave him mad props. All right. You know what? We're going to have some fun here. And listen, Judge's career, he's still writing out. Is the screen? There we go. He's still in the midst of. Can I move this over? Did it move over? Can I move this over? And I don't want to pick on Judge. I mean, Judge is a great. I mean, come on. Judge is a Hall of Fame. He's going to the Hall of Fame. He retired today. He's going to the Hall of Fame. All right. And we'll start with Aaron Judge. How about that? And go backwards. All right. I don't want to pick on the guy. And it's not picking. This is, that's like calling players who aren't Hall of Famers an insult. It's not an insult. Hall of Fame is for the chosen few. Stats. All right. So here we go with Judge. Ready? Baseball reference. The great baseball reference. And I'm going to share my screen. You're going to see this. Listen, his numbers, I mean, come on. The guy, he's got black type everywhere. I get it. Like I said, he can retire right now. He's a Hall of Famer. He is. No ifs, ands, buts, maybes about it. So this isn't a knock, but you're trying to crack the top 4 Yankees of all time. Oh, share my screen. I didn't do that. All right, let me put myself down here. All right. The novice I got to take out, or bio, I got to take out your comment there. Yeah, Reed, you're right about that. I'll get to that in a minute with Pistol Pete and Nate Tiny Archibald. All right, I hope you could see this. I wish I could zoom in on this. He's got black type. Look at his WAR. I'm not a WAR guy, but all right. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Look at all this black type here between OPS, slug. I mean, come on. Now, the guy's a monster. Nobody's doubting that. And look at the numbers. All right, he was injured here. I understand, his rookie year, 52, 114, 128 runs scored. Arguably could have been the MVP. I know Altuve got it that year. Look at it, 62, 131. Led an OPS slugging on base. OPS, excuse me. Same in 2024. Last year, did not lead in homers and RBIs. That was, of course, Raleigh. Did lead in batting. First ever batting title. 294 lifetime. All right, you see these numbers. Led the league in runs 3 times, WAR 3 times, homers 3 times, RBIs twice. Walks, all right, I'll give you that. But, you want to say he led in strikeouts? That you got to take out. But batting once, on-base slugging and OPS, no joke. OPS plus, total bases, no joke. All right, now, and I'm going to go backwards. Mickey Mantle. Led in WAR 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Led in runs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Triples once, where Judge will never lead in that. Homers 1, 2, 3, 4 times. RBIs 130. This was his Triple Crown year. 52, 130, 353. Didn't even lead in on base that year, but he led in slugging and OPS. Obviously, OPS plus. But Judge's year could match any one of these years. So that I'll give him. Led in walks 4 times. Look at this. Black type, black type, black type, black type. Batting average. Black type, black type, black type, black type, black type. OPS plus. All this. MVP 1, 2, 3 times. Similar to Judge. All right. Could he maybe crack that over Mantle when it's all said and done? Quite possibly. Quite possibly. And he was a 298 lifetime hitter where he thought if it was that important, he would have batted 300. Well, look at these numbers. 365, 353, 304, 321, 314. But, the booze got him. All right, I'm going backwards. Joe DiMaggio. Lifetime batting, 325. WAR, 1, 2, 3 times. That's what Judge has now, right? Led in runs once, triples once, home runs twice. Remember, did not play 3 years because of the WAR. Take that into consideration. RBIs, 125, twice. Home runs twice, like I said. All right, doesn't have the OPS slugging and on base. Led in batting twice. Slugging here. MVP 3 times. Here are the numbers that stick out. 361 home runs. How many strikeouts did he have throughout his career? 369. He's Joe D. All right, so maybe, and he played center field. 56-game hitting streak on top of that. Got snapped and then had a 17-game hitting streak after that. Now, he may, when it's all said and done, he may be able to crack those two. There is no way on God's green earth he's cracking these two. Look at this. Led in WAR twice, but remember who his teammate was. Led in games, 155. Remember, it was 154 games back then, and he had 2130 consecutive. Plate appearances, led in runs 1, 2, 3, 4 times, led in hits once. By the way, had 200 hits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Had 200 hits or more as a power hitting first baseman. Doubles twice, triples once, homers 3 times. Look at these RBI totals. Led in RBIs 4 times, 173, 147, 173, 185, 166. Led in walks, 132, 130, 127. Oh, by the way, how many times did he strike out? Just in these 3 years right here. Walked 132, struck out 38 times. Walked 130 times, struck out 46. Walked 127 times, struck out 49. Led in on base 4 times in these years, slugging 2 of those years, batting average 363. But oh, by the way, 1 year he batted 379. Did not lead the league in hitting. 341, 349, 344, 374, 373. I mean, come on. MVP twice. No insults in those numbers. And then let's get to none other than George Herman Ruth, otherwise known as the Babe Ruth. If this guy's not the greatest baseball player of all time, and I understand he didn't play against the blacks during his time, black players, I get it. 1,000%. Led in WAR, and WAR wasn't even a stat back then. WAR is a 21st century stat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. Runs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Led in home runs. Do I even need to go through this? He had home runs more than teams. RBIs. And these are years where he didn't even lead in RBIs. I'm sure Gehrig probably led in a couple of these. Look at this. In 1927, that was Murderers Row. They beat the Pirates that year. 165 RBIs, 146, 154, 153, 162, 137. He had 137 RBIs, 41 homers, 137 RBIs, 341 batting average, 49 on base, 661 slugging, 1150 on base. 1150 OPS. How old was he? 37. No steroids, no nutrition program. The guy ate beer and hot dogs. Or drank beer and ate hot dogs. You know what I mean? Come on. Babe Ruth. You could argue he's the greatest player in any sport in the history of any sport. Bigger than Jordan. Bigger than Gretzky. Bigger than Jim Brown, Tom Brady, Joe Montana. You name it. Look at these. Look at all this black type. Do I need to say more? I can stop sharing now, right? What do we got with comments? There you go, Reed. He said it. Yeah, Maravich and Archibald did play at the end, but they're not on that level. And think about it. Maravich played Utah Jazz or New Orleans Jazz, and then did he play a couple years Utah and then Celtics? Obviously went to LSU. Tiny Archibald from the Bronx. I'm trying to get him on my podcast, by the way. And he said a lot of things post-career. I definitely want to get him on. Only player in NBA history to lead the league in points and assists. 1971, I believe that. No, let me double check that. If I go Tiny Archibald, hold on. That's baseball. We're on basketball. Basketball reference. I believe it was the only, I think it was 71. Nah, it may not have been 71, maybe even later. I think 71, though. Yeah, because he grew up with my parents. Patterson Projects represent South Bronx. Tiny Arch. Oh, it was Nate Tiny Archibald, of course. All right. That was, no, 71 was his rookie year. So maybe it was later on. 72-73 for the Kansas City Kings. That's when it was Cincinnati Royals went to Kansas City. 26-3, and he averaged 11.4 assists. Wasn't the MVP, was third in the MVP. Is in Hall of Fame. 5-time All-NBA. Was All-NBA once, 3 times, and All-NBA twice. No, it was excellent. A great career. Let's see. Lou Gehrig, for Reed. Yeah, Ruth batted over 370 twice. I know. I went through the numbers. Hey, Rayan, what's up, my man? Or was it Ryan? I guess I could say Ryan. Oh, was it 70? Yeah, it had to be 70 times. I'll go back to that. Hold on. And listen, what did he end up? His lifetime, I think, what was he? 344? No, maybe been higher than that. Hold on. 342. and he hit 370, over 370, one year hit 393 and was the MVP that year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Hit 370 or above. Listen, I mean, Ty Cobb, I believe, had batted 351, if I'm not mistaken, which I think is the highest batting average of all time. Oh, no, 366. 351 is Rogers Hornsby, I believe. Yeah, and mind you, this is now right before Babe Ruth. But look at the black type on his name. And obviously, Ty Cobb was not a power hitter. But geez, and I get it. Who were the players of his ilk at that time? Hannes Wagner. Rogers Hornsby was more teens into the 20s. Yeah, there weren't a lot of players in that time that were of Cobb's ilk. But still, he's going up against pitchers like Cy Young, Walter Johnson. Wasn't Grover Cleveland Alexander during that time? So listen, he's going up against all-time pitchers. Grover Cleveland. 1911 to 1930. Yeah, because 1907, yep. Walter Johnson. 1907, he's going up against these pitchers. Cy Young. 1890 to 1911, so the back end of his career. Was another one. Christy Mathewson. New York Giants. 1900 to 1916. So yeah, next half. I mean, come on. I like this going over stats on the screen while podcasting. All right, Bio. You already know. Yeah, if I put up Ty Cobb's numbers, I mean, come on. It's just going to be nothing but black type. And I understand the players of that ilk, and I'll go through some of them now. OKC versus Detroit NBA Finals, Corn. All right. Not going out on a limb, but okay. Well, let me ask you this. Who do you trust more to get to a final, OKC or Detroit? That's the interesting question. Me, I trust OKC. No offense, J-Rod, if you're in the room. That's not to say Detroit can't go to a final, but I trust OK. And that's not going on a limb either. But Rogers Hornsby, 1915. So he was definitely later on because Cobb was 07 to what? 1928. Nah. And let me see. Hornsby again was what? 1915? Yeah, 1915. What about Hannes Wagner? No, Wagner is, back end. He played 1897 to 1917. Yeah, Hannes Wagner had sick numbers too. I mean, geez. Led him batting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Black type everywhere. And I get it. They're not a ton of players at that time, whatever, but still counts for something. And Rogers Hornsby, I know one year, didn't he bat 424? 424. Lifetime 358. Yep. Get ready for this. Wait, and that was what, 1924. Oh, man, could they tell me who he was that year? They got to tell me, please. Dazzy Vance. And he was a pitcher. Get ready for this. Rogers Hornsby, in the year 1924, here are his numbers. He led in WAR 12.1, led in runs scored, led in hits, didn't lead in homers and RBIs, led in walks, OPS, on base and slugging. His OPS was 12 or 1.203. His batting average was 424. Second in the MVP voting. Dazzy Vance, a pitcher from the Brooklyn Dodgers, was your MVP. He was 28-6. 308 innings, 262 strikeouts, 238 hits he gave up. His whip was 1.0. That was MVP. Maybe there's a bias towards Rogers Hornsby. I don't know, but unbelievable. I mean, you look at these numbers and please. Amazing. Oh, here we go. Reed, Celtics Nuggets. That's a good one. He played last night. I know the Celtics coming off a back-to-back. All right, here we go. Bio. You should do. All right, it's suggested. Maybe I'll do that. You know what? That's a good idea, Bio. Yeah, so I'm talking and I can have me in the lower box and I can pull up stuff. Now, the thing I got to worry about is, I don't know, if it's highlights and if I'm getting them from YouTube, because that's how I'm getting them from, I wouldn't be copyright. You're onto something there, Bio. I'm definitely going to consider that. Yogi Berra? Yeah, Berra doesn't. And listen, yeah, Yogi Berra is another one, man. 3-time MVP, won 10 World Series. Yeah, after the top 4, you got to say Jeter. I got to throw Yogi in there because think about it. Judge hasn't won a World Series yet. And not that should be end all be all, but come on. Jeter won 5, Berra won 10, DiMaggio won, what do you win, about 8? Ruth, I mean, come on. Those guys are champions a million times over. Judge hasn't won anything. So, please, I put Mariano up there. And he's a relief pitcher. And you could argue whether or not he belongs, but come on. Mariano, most dominant closer anybody will ever see. He's one of one. Here I am, big up in Yankees. Watching Skeens highlights. And Skeens is going to face opening day, the Mets. Ugh. It's probably going to be 40 degrees. Anyway, where am I here? Anything else happening in sports? Your boy has to go to the bathroom. I could pause it for a second. Yankees pitching all time is great list of top 5 rotation. You know what's so funny? Yankees don't really have great all-time starting pitchers. Where are you going to go? You're going to go Whitey Ford. But Yankees, I'm not counting Catfish Hunter, who was there on the back end. I'm not looking at him. I'm not looking at, I don't know, they're going to retire his number, which I understand he's going to Hall of Fame. CC Sabathia. Let me see. If I go Yankee pitchers, I'm going Whitey Ford. You have to say Andy Pettit. I know he had 3 years in Houston, but Red Ruffing, Lefty Gomez. Yeah, let me see. Hold on. If I go Lefty Gomez, he was in the 30s. Yeah, he wasn't in the 20s. I think he was in the 30s. Like that 36 through 30, because the Yankees won. Then they went 30. Well, I know they went from 39 to 43. Then they went 36 to 30. I don't know. I mean, they won all those World Series back then. Lefty Gomez. No, not Lefty Grove. Lefty Gomez. 189 and 102. MVP. Yeah, he's got black type too. Yeah, I got to throw him in there. 189, 102, 3.34 ERA. And during that time, he's going up against Hank Greenberg, Ted Williams. Who else? Jimmy Fox. I think Jimmy Fox, was he in the 20s, into the 30s? Jimmy Fox, Nellie Fox. Yeah, Jimmy Fox in the 20s. Yep. Jimmy Fox, 3-time MVP. Black type everywhere. In the 30s. Now, that's post Ruth and Gehrig. Yeah, I tell you, man. Baseball, listen, baseball's tradition is unlike any other. I'm sorry. I know the NFL's king and NBA, and I get it. But baseball, the history that this sport has, geez. I know it's archaic to a lot of people. They can't get into baseball. It's slow. It's this. Listen, I can't get enough of it. Clemens, no, I won't say him only because he doesn't have the longevity. Clemens pitched in the Yankees, 99, 2000. He won the 2 World Series. He won a Cy Young in 2003. Went to the Astros in 04, 5, and 6. Came back in 07. I think that was his last year. So, yeah, I can't give it to Clemens. Yeah, Whitey Ford for sure, the novice, 100%. Well, there we go. Yeah, top 5. That's the thing. Yankees have hitters. They have position players. They pitching. They don't really have a pitching rich as far as more homegrown. Yeah, we know CC. We know Catfish Hunter. We know Sparky Lyle. We know, let me see, even into the 80s. David Cone. David Wells. El Duque. El Duque was a great postseason pitcher. Regular season wasn't much. He was like 500. Yeah, but he was a big game pitcher, though. That damn Orlando Hernandez. Let me look at him real quick. Yeah, lifetime as a Yankee, because I know he pitched for the Mets a couple of years. He was 61 and 40 as a Yankee with an ERA almost 4. No, he was good. But he wasn't all. I mean, listen, his first 2 years he was great. He was 12 and 4, 17 and 9. After that, 12 and 13, 4 and 7, 8 and 5, 8 and 2, and then he went to the White Sox. He won a World Series there at the White Sox. But here are his postseason numbers. Playoffs. I mean, forget it. Let's see. Career. And this is all with the Yankees because White Sox, he pitched in relief a lot. No, he only pitched in 2 games. Well, I know he pitched that one game in Boston when they swept the Red Sox, I think, in 05. He came in with the bases loaded, nobody out. And I remember he got out of that inning. It was in the middle innings, too, of that game. But no, this is all his career as a Yankee. 9 and 3, 2.55 ERA, 106 innings pitched, 77 hits, 32 runs, 30 earned, 10 homers, 107 strikeouts. Yeah, his whip was a little high because of the walks. Well, how many walks? Yeah, 55 walks. That's a lot. In 106 innings, that's half the innings he's pitched. More than that. No, in the postseason, it was no joke. And Duque saved the Yankees bacon in 98. Let's call it as we see it. They were down 2-1. Bartolo Colon won game 3 in 98. And I'll never forget that weekend, October 98, I guess that second weekend, it was the League Championship Series. I went to Cincinnati with a friend of mine who was a big Bengal fan that weekend. That was Columbus Day weekend. I don't know. It took a million years for me to figure that out. Where Pittsburgh played in Cincinnati, and that was a brutal loss, which I won't even get into. But I'll never forget, we left Saturday morning. I watched the game Friday night where the Bartolo Colon, which I believe pitched a complete game. I'm on Baseball Reference. Let's check it out. Playoffs. He pitched a complete game, and they were up 2-1, and that was the knob block. Remember the boneheaded play where they scored the run in game 2? And I'm thinking, oh, man, I can't believe this. And the Braves were playing the Padres in the ALCS or NLCS that year. And I thought to myself, I said, oh, man, if they could steal this game, El Duque, let's see what kind of guts he has. And, yeah, he had the guts of a burglar, right? He pitched great in that game. All right, let me go. Was it 2000? No, 98. 98. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. I hope I'm not boring you with this. I see Anthony Richardson, huh? Fresh start? Yeah, he needs to go. And hopefully the Steelers don't get him. He's got an arm, but boy, that guy's raw as hell. All right, here we go. The game. Wait a minute. Oh, it's Red Sox. I don't want that. I want Yankees. 98 ALCS. Here we go. Game 3. Yeah, Cologne, I see it now. This goes to show you. And this was what? 28 years ago? Bartolo Colon, complete game. I remember like it was yesterday. 1 run, 4 hits, 3 strikeouts, walk 4. And Andy Pettit pitcher got bombed. 6 runs, 8 hits, and 4 2/3. And then El Duque in game 4, 4-0 they won. And I think he pitched 7 innings before I even scroll to get that. I think he pitched 7 innings. Let's see. Yep, 7 innings. No runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. And who pitched for the Indians? Of course, they're now the Guardians. Wow, Dwight Gooden. Check that out. 4 2/3, 3 runs, 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Dwight Gooden. I love all this stuff. Can't get enough of it. All right, what do we got here, people? Let's see. Yeah, Colts Anthony Richardson, huh? Oh, my battery's running out, and I don't have my plug nearby, so I may have to sign off. Oh, it's over there. I could get it. But you know what, people? Maybe I should land this plane now. Only because I have not eaten. Oh, hold on. Trying to get the other. I have not eaten, and yeah, maybe I should sign off here. I know I'm babbling. My apologies. But anyway. Uh-oh. Oh, that's cute. Oh, your daughter's Ruby. Hi, Ruby. Staying home from school. She wants to know what kind of dog you have. Yes, she is a Cavalier Poodle mix, Cavapoo. She's adorable. She's sleeping in the bed. If she was sleeping right here, she's not behind me. If she was, I'd pick her up. I'd show her. Yeah, do I have a picture I could share? No, it's on my phone. Yeah, she's a Cavalier Poodle mix. Maybe I'll text it to you if anything. Bio. You'll see. And let's see. That's so cool that she asked. I like that. But yeah, that's it. Anything else? Let me see. Let me look. Last bit of news. Anthony Richardson. Yep. Okay to find a trade. Well, I mean, where's he going to go? And not only where's he going to go, listen, I would trade. You want to take a flyer on him? I'm giving you a 6th round pick. I am not giving you anything higher than that. Because he's shown you nothing. He can't stay healthy, number 1. Number 2, he has ability. He could run and he could throw the ball through a car wash without getting wet. But, man, he is inaccurate and his decision-making is highly questionable from the few games I've seen him. And he actually played pretty well against the Steelers one year. That was when the Steelers, what was that, 20? I think it was 20. I think it was his rookie year. And he actually played pretty well. Before he left the game, he got hurt. And they were 14-0, and they came back and they won the game. They won the game, Indianapolis. But yeah, I wouldn't take him. Thank you, Val. As always, thank you, Bio. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, The Novice. The Novice, I got to hit you up too. Reed, Dennis Johnson, I like that one too. Reed, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you stopping by. As always, everybody else, I got to give everybody the shout out here. Nevaeh Pyers, I don't know who you are, but thank you. Jay Chang, I'm sure you left. But yes, hopefully you'll be back Monday. Anders Pedersen, RT Slim, Outlaw, Hot Shots, Val, The Novice, Bio, all of you guys. Yeah, go Fukis. Probably means something else, but give you a shout out. T Solo, I'm not hating. Well, anyway, that'll do it. Hopefully I'll see you guys Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. And again, we could talk sports, but it's just to give you a big giant thank you to you guys. And also some pivots that I've been thinking about that I'm likely going to do. Want to share them with you, get your feedback. It's important. You know how much I am grateful for you guys and gals. I got to give it up to J-Rod, Fishing Angel, Brent, James D, my other Reels rockers, usual suspects that aren't here now, who have been a big part of this journey with me. And yeah, come Sunday, 1 p.m. sharp, we'll reconnect then and see where we're at as far as the world of sports and what lies ahead for yours truly. So that'll do it. Oh, you're happy? I'm happy. You're happy, Val. And I'm happy too. I am. That'll do it, my good people. Another episode just about in the books. As always, thank you so much for stopping by, carving out precious time out of your day to listen to what it is that I have to say about the wonderful world of sports. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe, rate, review on Apple, Spotify, of course, the channel here for those watching on YouTube. I appreciate you guys and gals, all of you. As you well know, this is independent digital sports media at its finest. No clickbait, no rage bait. You're not going to get any of that, as you well know. This is true, unadulterated, unfiltered, professional, credible sports talk without all of that filler, without all of the yelling, screaming, nonsense, etc. You know you're going to get passionate sports talk. You know, listen, I don't have to tell you guys and gals, for those who have been following me. So please continue to support the channel in any way, shape you can. And if you want to hit me up with any questions, comments, suggestions, you could do so at the following social media accounts: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, the J Reels Podcast, or J Reels on Instagram, Twitter, J Reels1, just a number, Twitch, J Reels1, just a number, the old-fashioned way, the J Reels Podcast at gmail.com. I'll be more than happy to follow up with you guys and gals, because whether you do or do not know, there's what I love to do, people, in the blood and the DNA, as you already know. Talking sports since birth. As I said, as long as I'm alive and breathing and kicking, doing this full-time, independently, trying to blaze a path, carve a trail in this space with all the others that are out there, the little engine that could, I'm going to keep on chugging until my last breath. I can promise you that. Because as long as I sit in front of this camera and microphone, I promise I will deliver nothing but passion, fire, energy, fury, my thoughts, opinions, critiques, praise, analysis, feelings on anything and everything that happens on the world of the diamond, ice, gridiron, hardwood, golf course, racetrack, tennis court, boxing ring, octagon, you name it. From my lips to your ears, from my heart to your soul, from where I am to wherever you are, the J Reels Podcast and live stream always comes live, correct, direct, and in full effect. From the South Bronx, the South Beach, the South Central, the South Pacific, and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. And until next time on the J Reels Podcast, on the flip, baby.